Have you ever wondered how, exactly, we smile, frown, or sneer? I mean, how a tiny, almost microscopic shift in your face can completely transform the emotion you're projecting to the world. Well, today, we're pulling back the curtain on the incredible machinery behind those expressions by breaking down facial muscle anatomy.
Welcome to This Explainer. Look, whether you're a beginner medical student just trying to survive your anatomy class, or maybe you're just a biology enthusiast curious about how the human body works, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to map out the anatomy of the face systematically, moving right from the top down to the bottom. And by the end of this, I promise you're going to see your own expressions in a completely different light.
So here's our top-down roadmap for today. We'll start with the general muscles of expression, move to the scalp and forehead, then the eyes, the nose, the mouth, and finally wrap it up with some essential anatomy takeaways.
All right, let's dive right in. Section 1. The muscles of expression.
Now, before we look at individual muscles, we really need to understand the global rules here, because facial muscles are fundamentally different from the rest of your body. Think about your bicep, right? It connects bone to bone across a joint to move your arm. But facial muscles, they mostly originate from your facial bones and then insert directly into the skin. They're essentially like little puppeteers pulling your skin to create expressions. They're also grouped around the natural orifices of your face, your eyes, nose, and mouth, acting to open or close them. And unlike most muscles, they generally lack that tough wrapping called fascia. Plus, they are absolutely packed with fast-twitch fibers for super rapid, subtle movements. Oh, and they are all powered by the facial nerve, also known as cranial nerve 7.
Okay, moving right along to Section 2, Scalp and Forehead Anatomy.
Starting our top-down journey, let's look at the very top of your head, which actually holds a really fascinating muscular network. Check out how the frontal belly at the forehead and the occipital belly at the back of the head work together to form the occipital frontalis muscle. And here's where it gets interesting. They are connected by this thick, fibrous tissue sheath called the epicranial aponeurosis. Try thinking of this aponeurosis as a sort of fibrous helmet stretched super tight across the top of your skull. It links the muscles pulling your scalp backwards with the muscles raising your forehead.
Now, focusing just on the front, we've got the frontalis muscle. Functionally, the frontalis is the guy responsible for that classic expression of astonishment. You know, when you're totally surprised. When it contracts, it literally pulls the skin of your forehead upward, raising those eyebrows and forming those horizontal forehead wrinkles you see in the mirror when you're shocked.
Let's keep moving down the face to Section 3, muscles around the eyes.
The orbital region is incredibly dynamic, and it houses one of the most remarkable anatomical structures in the human body. Actually, before we get to it, I want you to take a guess. What do you think is the absolute fastest-moving muscle in your entire body? Just think about that for a second.
Okay, got your guess? The answer is the orbicularis oculi. This flat, broad, circular muscle completely surrounds the opening of the eye. It is, without a doubt, the undisputed speed champion of your muscular system. It acts almost like a camera shutter. The inner part, which is known as the palpebral part, operates completely involuntarily to control your blink reflex, sweeping moisture across your eyeball in a fraction of a second. Meanwhile, the outer orbital part lets you voluntarily squeeze your eyes tightly shut against things like bright light or dust.
Right next to that, situated near the bridge of the nose, is the depressor supercilii. It's this tiny, inverted, triangular-shaped muscle. And its primary job? It acts to pull your eyebrows downward. So when you're concentrating really hard, squinting, or just frowning in confusion, you are directly engaging this small but incredibly powerful muscle.
Continuing our top-down approach, we arrive at Section 4, muscles of the nose.
Now, this part is often misunderstood by beginners, mostly because nasal muscles don't just shape the nose, they actively control our airway access. First up is the procerus, located right between your eyebrows. It pulls the skin between your eyebrows downward, creating those horizontal wrinkles right over the bridge of your nose. Basically, it's the muscle you use when you smell something terrible. But here's a highly surprising fact for you. Anatomy isn't actually identical in everyone. The procerus varies greatly in size, and get this, some people are actually born without it entirely. No way, right? Next up, we have the transverse nasalis. This muscle has a super practical, everyday function. It acts almost like a compressor valve. By pulling the sides of the nose inward toward the septum, it narrows the nasal aperture. You'll find this muscle is particularly active during deep or forced breathing to help regulate your airflow.
All right, let's keep going. Section 5, muscles of the mouth.
Now we're moving to the oral opening, which is really where the bulk of our complex, nonverbal human expressions come to life. Central to the mouth is the orbicularis oris.
It might look like a simple circular sphincter, but it's actually way more complex. Try thinking of it as a multi-layered drawstring bag. When it contracts, it pulls the string tight, compressing and closing the lips. It's absolutely essential for everything from kissing and whistling to articulating words when we speak. It also acts as this vital anchor point for almost all the other muscles around the mouth.
Connecting to the upper lip is a muscle with an incredibly long Latin name, the levator labius superioris alae nasi. Yeah, that's a mouthful, so we usually just call it the LLSN. Its everyday function is actually quite simple, despite the super intimidating name. It extends down from the side of the nose and splits into two parts. It simultaneously flares your nostrils and elevates your upper lip. We often call it the snarl or sneer muscle because, well, it's heavily involved when you're projecting disdain or disgust.
Moving down to the very bottom, we have the mentalis. Whenever you pout, you are using the mentalis. It's this conical-shaped, paired muscle positioned right at the tip of the chin. By raising and protruding the lower lip, it shapes the dome contour of your chin. And what's really fun about this muscle is that when it flexes, it inserts directly into the skin, creating those tiny little skin dimples you see on a pouting chin.
And rounding out the mouth region, we have the buccinator. This muscle forms the structural muscular wall of your cheek. While technically it's classified as a muscle of mastication, which just means it helps keep food pushed between your teeth while you chew, it heavily intermingles with your facial expressions. It acts like a firm wall that pulls the corner of your mouth tightly backward, supporting the mechanics of a really wide smile or, say, blowing into a trumpet.
Okay, Section 6, Essential Anatomy Takeaways. We've definitely covered a lot of ground today, from the fibrous helmet of the scalp all the way down to the pouting muscle of the chin.
Let's quickly synthesize everything to make sure we maximize your retention of this anatomy. The crucial point here is that grouping these muscles by their natural orifices makes memorizing them so much simpler. Around the eyes, you've got the lightning-fast orbicularis oculi closing the lids. Around the nose, the nasalis regulating your airflow. And around the mouth, the complex orbicularis oris pulling that drawstring tight on the lips.
But the ultimate unifying clinical rule for this entire topic, the big so what here, is this. Every single mimetic muscle of expression we've discussed today is powered by branches of one single nerve, the facial nerve, or cranial nerve 7. This means if that one nerve is ever damaged or compromised, the entire intricate network of facial expression on that side of your face can just shut down.
Thank you so much for joining this explanator. I really hope this top-down map has made this complex web of muscles completely clear for you. But, it leaves us with a really fascinating question to ponder. If just one single nerve controls all these nuanced emotions, what happens to our ability to communicate when that nerve misfires? Think about that. Make sure to subscribe for simple medical explanations, and until next time, keep exploring the incredible machinery of the human body.